Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Run It Back, the show we try to get things right the second time. In today's episode, we're going to be pulling one from my personal vault. We've got a 3-0 here in traditional draft on MTGA. We'll go and dive into it now. So take a look at Pack 1, Pick 1. We can see two rares over here with Byway Barterer and Iridescent Vine Lasher. I've liked both of these cards. I think both of them are strong. I think the Vine Lasher is stronger because the Offspring really makes the 1 damage to target opponent particularly strong. Twice in the same turn per landfall, so that's very good. Also, you can end up if you end up getting a Fable Passage or something like that, you get 2 triggers in the same turn, which is kind of a big deal. The Byway Barterer works well. A 3-mana 3/3 is perfectly fine. The Menace is reasonable, but the tough part is in Raccoons, you have a lot of things of 4 mana or bigger, and so if you have 2 or 3 of those in your hand, you really only want to use the discard your hand, draw 2 cards when you're pretty much running out of gas. And so that's not always the case. Iridescent Vine Lasher always good either on 1 or 3 or later. Byway Barterer only good usually when you're running out of gas. Now, when you are running out of gas, it is very good at keeping things moving. So I do like that. But between these 2 cards, I think I start with the Iridescent Vine Lasher. Both of them are fantastic. The other thing to look at in this pack is we've got Feed the Cycle, Wix Patrol, Take Out the Trash, and Daggerfang Duo. These are all fantastic cards that I would love to wheel. Obviously, the removal spells would be bigger for us, but even if it's just one of these 2 rats, that's also a big deal for us. The blue, the green, the white, these are all fine cards, and things like Druid of the Spade, the 3-treat Mascot, the Nettle Guard, those are all fine cards, but nothing I'm really excited about. So the fact that I can take a black card and then end up wheeling hopefully one of these 3 black cards, that's a big deal for Pack 1. Pack 1, Pick 2, we see Kingfisher, which is a big body. We also see things like Clifftop Lookout and Paw Patch Formation. These are all good cards. Baker's Bane Duo. None of them really are super exciting for me, so I just took the Nocturnal Hunger, the only black card in the pack, and really powerful removal spell. So I like this card. I think it's great at common, a little bit of a different style on Murder, and overall it's played pretty great. Pack 1, Pick 3, we see a Byway Barterer here, and I was pretty low on Psychic Whirl. Notably, we see a couple of red cards, but none of these are super powerful, so I'm not really taking this as a red signal. I'm taking a bit of a white signal in the fact we see the Seasoned Warren Guard, the Crumb and Get It, and the Waxwing Witness, but the fact that we passed a Byway Barterer, and the fact that we're maybe hopefully going into Lizards, which kind of works well, this will play just fine in a Lizard deck. Pack 1, Pick 4, I really considered a couple different things here. If we are going hard into Lizards, I see Scales of Shale to be particularly good. Persistent Marshstalker is great if we can get like another rat or 2, so these Daggerfang Duos play really well with the Persistent Marshstalker. The Wildfire Howl is great in the Raccoon style deck, so if we're going to go heavier into Raccoons, then Wildfire Howl is good there, but it's not very good against Lizards because a lot of our Lizards are smaller, so don't love that there. In general, we just sort of took the Agate Assault, this regular old removal spell. I think this is probably the safest pick for us here, and not really knowing exactly where we wanted to go with this sort of red-black start, I started with the Agate Assault. Pack 1, Pick 5, we see a Heartfire Hero, a Take Out the Trash, this Flowerfoot Swordmaster. So a lot of these things kind of suggest that red-white could have been the seat here as well. If we had open maybe a different rare or something similar. But Take Out the Trash is tough to turn down. I mean, it's a perfectly fine removal spell, 2 mana, 3 damage. This has been consistently throughout Magic's history very, very powerful early on to either keep pushing damage by removing blockers or holding down the board and stabilizing things pretty early. Pack 1, Pick 6, I was pretty unhappy with this pack, and who knows, maybe this is where we should have seen that white signal because Whiskervale Forerunner is incredible, Crumb and Get It, very good, Sonar Strike, very good. Even Sazakap's Brew sort of plays better in mice than anything else, but I wanted to stick with the Lizards, and so I grabbed this Reptilian Recruiter, essentially allowing my person to my left be in white, and hopefully they'll be passing the red-black cards later on. Was a bit unrewarded here in Pack 1, Pick 7. Might of the Meek is a perfectly fine cantrip. We target any old creature, just draw a card. The +1/+0 is pretty irrelevant in mice, or outside of mice, excuse me. Dire Sight, I don't think I'm playing outside of rats. Paw Patch Formation is another really good card. And Sugarcoat has something to it, but I don't think this is really what we're doing in this style of things. Now, Pack 1, Pick 8, things have sort of turned around as Teapot Slinger is great with this whole Byway Barterer style of things and just multiple spells in a turn for Lizards. The other thing to think about would be Alania's Pathmaker, but I thought being this a common and this one an uncommon, we just take the uncommon for now, and maybe the common would come back to us in a later time. On the wheel, we see a pack 1, pick 9. All of the red and black cards we were hoping to wheel at least one of these 5. None of them came back, which is a bit of a sign, but also not too big because these 4 cards are all pretty bad. Druid of Spade being the best one, but I don't really want to play any of these in any of my decks. So Valley Rally was the pick. We did not end up playing it, but something that we could speculate on. Pack 1, pick 10. Nothing doing here. Could take the Night Fisher if we wanted to. Otherwise, even Paw Pack Formation are fine, but we just picked the Hidden Grotto for potential splashes later on. Pack 1, pick 11, doubling down on Reptilian Recruiter probably wasn't great. I don't love having 2 of these, but, it's what we have in the pack. And Pack 1, pick 12, we see a Bark Form Harvester into a War Squeak. So a pretty good start. Our first 5 cards or so were really good, but after that, the pack really dried up. Let's see how things move into Pack 2. Pack 2, pick 1, we see a Muera, which I don't think is really worth the splash here. We do see an Alania's Pathmaker, which we're hoping on the wheel. So Wix Patrol kind of tops off the curve after this Reptilian Recruiter, I think, to really make any red or black deck do just fine. Pack 2, pick 2, we see more white cards that work well. I was also looking at this Booming Blast. We ended up taking the Heartfire Hero because we already have this Take Out the Trash. And if we end up getting the Roughshod duo, which is the red Raccoon Squirrel duo, that plays extremely well with the Heartfire Hero, as well as the Heartfire Hero. We're playing well with all of our 3 drops to end up triggering our expend triggers quickly. Pack 2, pick 3, we see a Glide Dive duo. This one's great. Passing another Alania's Pathmaker. I just don't think it's something we want to be picking this early. Pack 2, pick 4, we see another Take Out the Trash, which is incredible. Looking at this Agate Blade Assassin is good, but it's not better than the second Take Out the Trash, so we just take out the trash here. Pack 2, pick 5. We do see quite a few red cards. We see a couple very good blue cards in Shoreline Looter, even something like a Cindering Cutthroat, but we've wanted this Alania's Pathmaker for a couple times now. We don't really have any 4 drops. We have lots of 3 drops, so let's go ahead and take the Pathmaker here. Pack 2, pick 6. We're looking at quite a few things like Steam Path Charger, Ravine Raider, Glide Dive Duo, Daggerfang Duo. These are all incredible, but I wanted to take this Mudflat Village because, again, I thought we might be able to get some of these things even later in the draft, even though we're likely not to get another Mudflat Village. Pack 2, pick 7, a Playful Shove has been incredible for me. This just continues to raise on our rankings. Also plays really well with Expend in general, so really happy to see Playful Shove. Brazen Collector, a Frilled Spark Shooter, and a Cindering Cutthroat. These are all good signs for us. We took the Brazen Collector to make sure that we actually have a 2-drop creature. Even though we have lots of 2-drop spells, we want a 2-drop creature, which can end up ramping us into these 4 drops, so we're just making sure that we can play our 3 on 3. Pack 2, pick 9, we see Alania's Pathmaker wheels, so happy to see that one. Really happy to play this maybe over the second Reptilian Recruiter. Pack 2, pick 10, this Frilled Spark Shooter has been really good if you can get it to trigger. It's been pretty underwhelming if you can't. So considering we have things like the Iridescent Vine Lasher and the Playful Shove and the Brazen Collector, there's lots of easy ways for us to trigger this, dealing opponent damage this turn. Nothing really here for us. I'm not playing a Corpse Berry Cultivator, so I took the Lilypad Village. We've got an Agate Blade Assassin on the wheel, and then, of course, Into the Floodmaw, end of Pack 2. Pack 3, pick 1. I was really considering a couple different cards here in Vren the Relentless. That's a very powerful card that we potentially could splash with things like the Lilypad, as well as other cards we could likely pick up. Also looking at the Sinister Monolith, which is significantly better in bats, but is not that bad in lizards, as the losing life happens every turn. And then Bandit's Talent also works really, really well. I thought because we're going to be a little bit more of an aggressive style strategy, Bandit's Talent has a little bit less importance, because part of what aggressive style strategies want to do is they gain card advantage by leaving cards in your opponent's hand at the end of the game. If your opponent has 4 cards left in hand at the end of the game and you've killed them, that means those are 4 cards that they could not deploy. And Bandit's Talent kind of wants to go a little bit longer and use that sort of rack strategy to get that extra damage in later. Glide Dive Duo, really at the top of what we're doing. I wanted to replace this Reptilian Recruiter really badly. Glide Dive Duo plays really, really well. It's just a powerful card. Happy to see it here. Pack 3, pick 2, we see an Emberheart Challenger. Otherwise, we've got a Saver. Now, we already had 3 removal spells at 2 mana and wanted more 2-drops. So this Mouse Warrior was a very, very good one. I don't have a whole lot of targeting right now, but if we happen to pick it up, that's great. Just a Haste Prowess 2/2 is really, really good in this style strategy. Pack 3, pick 3, a Heartfire Hero here. means that we're really looking for that little bit of mouse synergy to make sure that we can get something there. Bramble Guard Captain is great. It triggers our expend. It does the mouse thing, targeting Valiant. Happy to see this one early on. If we happen to end up growing its power, it gets very out of hand very quickly. Pack 3, pick 5, we had not picked up a Scales of Shale yet, and so that one was really important to me. Otherwise, these black cards are fine, but nothing incredible. Harnesser of the Storms is good, but we want a lot more Otters for that one to be good. We see a Pack 3, pick 6, this Alania Divergent Storm. We kind of took this one just for gems. I don't think we're really ever playing it, but, a rare in the pack this late, still good. Pack 3, pick 7, we were past another Byway Barterer, which I thought was really, really good. I know in here we look like we've got a lot of 3s, but this Bark Farm Harvester I don't really want to play. This Valley Rally I don't want to play. So getting a Byway Barterer to sort of scoop out some of those cards is really, really good. We see a Tempest Angler or a War Squeak, not really playing either of these cards. We end up picking up the Sinister Monolith, but did not end up playing it. We got another Sinister Monolith here, a Sazakap's Brew, Kindle Spark Duo, and ending with a Ravine Raider. Taking a look at the deck, you can see that the Frilled Spark Shooter did not make the final cut. The Reptilian Recruiter also didn't really look all that good. And then a whole just bunch of other like red cards and black cards that I don't think really made it. In the actual deck, we're on heavy, heavy creatures here with looks like a couple different removal spells, 5 removal spells, and then a Scales of Shale to help out in general. Loving this Ravine Raider. This one's been more and more and more powerful for us, which has been really good. Outside of that, we really only have one way to trigger Valiant, but just having these as 1/1s that end up dying and pinging our opponent kind of works well in the style strategy of the Iridescent Vine Lasher, the Agate Blade Assassin. At one point, we did end up getting our Bramble Guard Captain out there, and our Heartfire hero ended up becoming like a 7/5 after a bunch of turns. Scales of Shale also helped close out a game because of +2/+0 rather than just saving a creature at some point. But a lot of the times it was playing lands with the Vine Lasher and casting spells with the Teapot Slinger. The Barterers were continuing to gas things up, as well as the Alania's Pathmakers. So we really sort of churned through our deck pretty quickly in these games because we had lots of things to do in order to gain some advantage that way. And then also Glide Dive Duo and Reptilian Recruiter really allowed us to go over the top with some big effects, big swingy effects in either the Act of Treason or just a 3-mana or 5-mana 3/3 flyer for draining for 2. If you want to have your deck reviewed on Run It Back, feel free to send me an email at runitbackmtg@gmail.com or send me a message in Discord with the 17 lands data. Happy to take a look. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.